Since its debut on the GameCube, the Pikmin series has become another one of Nintendo's many beloved franchises, and recently, Pikmin 4 added plenty of new faces to the universe, all with distinct personalities. I'm Kyle with One Up Binge, and these are Pikmin 4, as well as the rest of the franchise's characters, good to evil. With that said, let's start plucking out our entries, starting with our most heroic character and working our way down to the most evil. These characters are the good. The gold medal of good has to go to the protagonist from Pikmin 4. The fourth entry in the series was the first one with a customizable playable character, so everything from the name, gender, haircut, and body type is up for the player to decide. In this game, the protagonist is a member of the Rescue Corps, who heads to the planet upon getting a distress signal from Olimar. When the crew crash lands on the planet as well, the protagonist is the one to round everyone up, as well as save other stranded spacemen on the planet. Although not much for words, we still feel the need to give the protagonist the gold medal of good, for saving more people from doom than any other person in the series. That said, the silver medal of good has to go to the original astronaut in the series, Captain Olimar. The only character to appear in every game in the series, unless you count Pikmin Bloom, but who does? Olimar is a highly intelligent and proficient spaceman who always finds himself on the Pikmin's home planet, for whatever reason. While there, he studies the planet's wildlife and takes various notes, showing that he has a strong passion for getting knowledge to his home planet, even while fighting for his life. We'll give him the Pride Medal for this, as he obviously takes a lot of satisfaction in his own work. Even after escaping and making it back to his home planet, he's willing to take a few more trips there to help his company get out of debt. On top of that, it's explained through various reports and messages that Olimar's family relies heavily on him financially, proving him to be a very selfless person all around. No wonder the Pikmin gravitate towards him instead of attacking him on sight like every other creature. Of course, we have to give the Bronze Medal of Good to another protagonist, this time being Alph from Pikmin 3. Granted, there were two other leading characters in that game as well, but out of all of them, we feel Alph stands out as the kindest overall. Alph is a highly sensitive person, but not in a bad way. He very much cares about the well-being of his crew members, and even losing a single Pikmin is enough to devastate him. After he and the others are separated at the beginning of the game, Alph goes to rescue them from danger, showing that he's willing to do what it takes to ensure their safety. That would be enough, but beyond that, he's also highly intelligent when it comes to technology, making new objects from material found on the planet. Any way you want to look at it, Alph is a great contributor to his team. As great as Alph is, we can't forget that if it wasn't for his Captain Charlie, he would have never ended up on PNF 404 in the first place. After a worldwide famine on his home planet of Kupai, Charlie gathers up the most competent team he can muster to travel across space and save his people. This is an incredibly noble act, and thankfully, he proves to be a very competent captain in his own right. He is very protective over his team's safety, especially Brittany, who it's implied he has feelings for. Even if his attempts at romance may be a bit cringy at times, he certainly never crosses any boundaries that would make us think any less of him. And if that isn't enough, he has a pet duck named Elizabeth back home, who he has a strong connection with. Whether he's being a captain, friend, hero, or pet owner, Charlie has earned himself a high spot in our good section. That said, we have to award him the Lust Medal for his crush on Brittany. There are plenty of human characters to count down, but we can't forget to throw Oatchi a bone. The deuteragonist of Pikmin 4, Oatchi joins the protagonist on the field, collecting Pikmin and performing other tricks unlike anything we've seen in the series before. This dog can jump, rush, bite, swim, and best of all, attach Pikmin to his back for safety and transportation. Not only does this spice up the series with new gameplay style, but it shows a great deal of bravery on Oatchi's part, that he's willing to put himself in danger for the sake of others. Given the fact Oatchi can be used independently of the protagonist, and has his own whistle, we're willing to say he is the most efficient Pikmin commander for his special abilities alone. The protagonist and Oatchi are great together, but we have to keep in mind that they would never have gotten as far as they did without the rest of the Rescue Corps team. This is comprised of Colin, Yanni, Shepard, Bernard, Russ, and Dingo. We're ranking them a bit lower than Oatchi or the main character, as they don't join them in their expeditions, but they do provide plenty of opportunities to make the game easier. Colin and Yanni set up the day and night expeditions respectively, while Russ and Shepard provide upgrades to Oatchi and his field partner. Bernard is not quite as proactive, but he does reward the player for curing the leaflings, showing he has a lot of empathy for others. Dingo is probably the least moral in the bunch for the petty things he mutters under his breath, but he still provides the player with rewards for investigating areas to their completion. If they all went into the field themselves, we'd probably rank them higher. But we think they collectively stand as the most moral, non-playable characters in the series. Let's head back to Kopai Residence for a collective ranking of Don Bergman, Yorkie, and Nell, a trio of treasure hunters who somewhat resemble the three main characters of Pikmin 3. Don Bergman is the captain of the crew, with Yorkie specializing in technology, and Nell specializing in animals. Once the rescue corps reunites with Olimar, they leave the planet only to realize Oatchi is sick and needs to be cured. As a result, they return to the planet to rescue Nell, who can help them out, with Don Bergman and Yorkie giving as much information as they know about their whereabouts. Even if being a treasure hunter is not the most noble profession in the world, the amount of care these three have for each other is pretty wonderful, and the fact they help Oatchi ranks them even higher. From a triple to a double ranking, up next we have Francois and Kingsley. Both hailing from the planet Ojai, Francois and Kingsley are being ranked together for their very similar roles in the game. Upon being rescued, Francois tasks the protagonist with the job of growing the Pikmin population to its fullest potential, while Kingsley asks for the Pikmin to bloom flowers from their heads. Seems straightforward enough, but the reason they're ranking higher than some of the other castaways is because the player can continue performing this task endlessly to farm for raw materials. This is much different from most side missions, which usually have a set number of materials you can get. Not only that, but Francois and Kingsley obviously care quite a bit about the Pikmin population, want to see it thrive, which is quite noble from their part. Okay, on to a quadruple ranking of Dalmo, Schnoz, Sai, and Petunia. Much like Francois and Kingsley, these four are ranked together for serving different, albeit similar functions of keeping track of everything. Dalmo is on top of the Piclopedia, keeping track of all the creatures the player comes across on their journey. Schnoz does the same thing with treasure in the treasure catalog. Sai and Petunia are much more fascinated with the onions themselves, taking note of how many onions and Farlic flubs have been fused together throughout the journey. All of these characters will reward the player with raw materials incrementally as they discover new things. Kinda makes us wonder why they didn't just give them raw materials in the first place to make these discoveries faster, but that's video game logic for you. Quadruple wasn't enough? That's fine. We have a quintuple ranking next. Mika, Muggs, Chet, Chewy, and Kays. To put it simply, the reason these five are together is because they all more or less have the same dilemma. They're missing people in their party. Mika lost her students, Muggs is missing her TV crew, Chewy is separated from her travel group, Chet is looking for his team of scientists, and Kays wants to find his employer. Pretty straightforward tasks, and it does show that these five do genuinely care about saving the people they came to the planet with, even if they're not skilled enough to go out and find them on their own. Let's talk about the trio of Dash, Corgwin, and Jin. These three seem much more fascinated with darker places, considering their missions involve delving into holes, be they caves or Dandori arenas. Dash asks the protagonist to explore as many caves as possible, while Corgwin and Jin reward the player for doing well in Dandori battles and challenges. This is a good way to test the player's skill by putting them to the test and seeing if they can win gold. We once again have to question the somewhat questionable practice of hoarding raw materials that would have helped the player improve for these challenges in the first place, but whatever. Next we have Brittany. Considering she's a protagonist in Pikmin 3, it might seem odd to rank Brittany so much lower than the other playable characters. Well, unlike Charlie and Alf, who consistently portray positive aspects for the most part, Brittany has shown much more of a manipulative and selfish side. Alf suspects Brittany, who is in charge of rationing their food, usually takes more for herself and denies it nonchalantly. Showing her gluttony can get the better of her. She also is a bit mean to Charlie on occasion, possibly due to knowing he has feelings for her, and prefers to talk to Alf, and slightly flirt with him. That said, Brittany certainly does care a lot about her crew and the Pikmin, as well as saving her planet from starvation. Next we have Puddle. A stylist who travels around the universe, Puddle gives the protagonist a makeover upon being rescued. Basically, if you weren't satisfied with the avatar you created at the beginning of Pikmin 4, Puddle allows you to get a second, third, or fourth chance, or however many chances you need to get it right. After rescuing 10 Leaflings, Puddle also shakes things up a bit by adding a Leafling design to the roster. The changes don't affect the game beyond a cosmetic preference, but it's still fun. Next we have Osa and Frieza. These are two more castaways to be rescued in Pikmin 4, who give the player materials for doing various jobs. Osa asks the player to build structures, and Frieza asks for musical instruments. The player receives raw material from performing these tasks, with the one exception being getting the lineup trumpet from Frieza for collecting all the musical treasures. And with that said, let's round out the good section with the biggest collective ranking yet. We're talking about lost students, TV crew, scientists, travel group, and employer. This includes Shiba, Quiche, Kaya, Twyla, Horatio, Kit, Como, Sammy, Ren, Molly, Santi, Lappy, Boris, Wolfgang, Vonda, Bernice, Alpin, Chowder, Grace, Fox, and Bo. It may seem like cheating to include so many characters together, but again, they all perform pretty much the same function. They're lost, the protagonist rescues them, they come back to the camp, and make idle chit-chat. We have to rank them all at the bottom of the good section, as unlike the other castaways who provide raw materials, or some service, these people just kinda stand there. Any benefit you get from rescuing them comes from the person who asked you to find them and not the characters themselves, so we think that's fair. With that said, their lack of any real help to the mission is why we have to award them the Sloth Medal. And that does it for the good section, so let's dive deeper into murkier territory. These characters fall in the gray area. Starting off this category, we're taking a look at Oatchi's friendly rival, Moss, when the protagonist of Pikmin 4 is fighting a persistent leafling in Dandori battles. Moss is often seen accompanying them, much to the protagonist and Oatchi's detriment. This leafling is eventually revealed to be Olimar later on when he's cured, and Moss developed a friendship with him before his illness. This kind of makes sense why Moss would be obedient to him, but he does attack the protagonist and Oatchi in Dandori battles, which is not the nicest thing in the world to do. Flying in next is the Hakatate ship. If you haven't played Pikmin 2, we're willing to bet you're wondering how the heck a ship qualifies as a character. The answer is that, unlike any of the ships that came before or after it, the Hakatate ship has a voice and a personality which acts as the main source of information throughout the game. The ship gives most of the relevant information throughout the journey, which would be fine if it wasn't so darn sassy about it. On top of criticizing Olimar at every opportunity, the Hakatate ship is a pathological liar who will often make things up about certain treasures, so it can sell it at a higher price. It seems bizarre at first, but once you realize this was a creation of the greedy Hakatate Freight Corporation, which prioritizes money over everything else, you can kind of see why it is the way it is. We have to give it the Wrath Medal for its occasional unwarranted anger to Olimar. Speaking of greed, we're rounding out the gray area with the final castaway from Pikmin 4, Patch. A gambler who traveled to the Pikmin's planet for profit, Patch is a slimy individual who puts himself in reckless situations due to following his desire for cash. Upon being rescued, he does assign the protagonist with a side mission, but this one is a little bit more morbid than what we're used to. Essentially, Patch tasks the player with killing as many creatures as possible in order to get the full reward. The player must defeat 1,000 creatures, which is a tall order. Patch seems like a grown-up version of Sid from Toy Story, mindlessly tearing things apart for his own personal pleasure. He does provide you with the rewards he promises, so good on him for that, even if the journey to getting this is a bit of a sadistic request. And that does it for the gray area, so let's move into the dark side. Only a couple entries this time, but welcome to the bad and evil section. The Silver Medal of Evil is going to the president of Hakatate Freight. First appearing in Pikmin 2, President is a fat, greedy individual who cares more about money than the well-being of his employees. After Olimar nearly died on a dangerous planet, the President sends him right back to it with Louie in order to collect enough treasure to pay off the company debt. According to reports he sent to Olimar during the journey, the President was being chased by loan sharks that caused him to go into hiding. Once Olimar pays off the debt and comes back without Louie, President claims that they should go back to save him. In reality, he couldn't care less about Louie and was enticed by the prospect of finding more treasure. It's stated in Pikmin 3 that the President eventually blew all the money he made from this on a failed business venture and sent Olimar and Louie back to PNF 404, so he didn't even learn his lesson. This is what you call a vicious circle, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have to give the President the Greed Medal for a strong desire for money even after the debt is paid off. But as bad as the President was, Olimar did indeed have a worse companion in the second game of the series. That's right, the Gold Medal of Evil undoubtedly has to go to Louie. Also introduced in Pikmin 2, Louie is the dopey new employee of Hakatate Freight, who apparently was attacked by a ravenous space bunny while transporting a supply of golden Pikpik carrots. He accompanies Olimar throughout the journey and seems like a pretty competent companion for the most part. This is until you unlock the special cutscene, Louie's Dark Secret, where it's revealed that he is the one who ate the Pikpik carrots and caused the company's financial woes. Louie appears again in Pikmin 3 3 and 4, where he becomes much more belligerent in his bad behavior. In the third game, he's saved by Alf, Brittany, and Charlie, and repays them by stealing their supply of juice and running off. He's eventually found and tied up by the trio, who understandably take a strong disliking to him. In the fourth game, he returns to the planet to find Olimar, but loses interest, and looks for exotic creatures to eat instead. When the other explorers try to find him and other castaways, Louis for some reason avoids them at all costs, making the missing way more difficult than it needed to be. Louis is the not-so-secret villain of the Pikmin franchise, causing mountains upon mountains of issues for everyone around him. We can think of no better person to receive the Gold Medal of Evil than him. On top of that, we'll also award him the Gluttony Medal for how much his stomach motivates his horrible decision-making. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and give him the Darwin Medal, since his stupid choices caused so many issues all around.